We move on now to the ARCA Menards Series West and a thrilling one-lap shootout to decide the race. Kyle Keller's car, I believe, ran out of fuel. That was what the broadcast was indicating to us, and stalled on track heading up into turn one, needed a push to get restarted. So unfortunately, that kind of shuffled him back a little bit. He had a top five day going there, didn't make it back up to eighth. So decent showing for him in spite of that. But what it did was it set up an opportunity for Alan Day and Christian Eckes to go beat William Sawalich, who, of course, was in the Joe Gibbs Racing 18 that has been so dominant in this series for the last several years. And Day put the bumper to Sawalich coming up the hill through turns 1 and 2. That opened the door for Christian Eckes to come in and lead most of the final lap before Sawalich got back to them. Made a little bit of contact with Jack Wood along the way. You see him down there in 13th, ended up getting spun out the last car in the lead lap there. But Sawalich came through turn 11 with the lead. There was contact coming out of the slight left-hander. I don't even know if you can, some people I think call that turn 12. You're basically taking that flat out, so you can consider that a corner if you want to or not. But coming to the start-finish line, the three of them, three wide, I believe 66 thousandths of a second, Sawalich over Eckes, and then 156 thousandths back today. I would have to imagine that is the closest spread between the top three in the history of this racetrack and one of the greatest finishes in the history of this track. Brandon, I don't know if you have any thoughts. If you got to see the finish on Friday, what was your reaction to Sawalich once again leading every lap of the race? But that certainly does not tell you the full story if you weren't there to watch that final lap.
It's phenomenal, and there's a reason we keep going back to the ARCA Menards Series West and saying this is their Daytona 500 marquee event every year. If you want to know why, this is exactly why. This three wide for the win, unbelievable there, and William Sawalich getting the win. But all of these Craftsman Truck Series drivers also taking part of it and strengthening that field. It also lets you know how big of a deal it is for these drivers too.
Yeah, certainly. I think, that's been one of the drawbacks, I guess, for people that liked seeing, the Kevin Harvicks and Eric Almirolas and Alex Bowmans and Kyle Larsons of the world in this race, is that nowadays it's mostly those guys. They'll run the Xfinity race, and the Xfinity guys will come down and run this race. We did see Ryan Preece win the ARCA West race here a couple of years ago. But, that's kind of been one of the implications of having that third series here these last 4 years, obviously with trucks in 22 and then Xfinity ever since. But, some other names here we'll talk about in a moment. Got a couple of interviews to show you guys, but Nick Joannidis, your last place finisher, very interesting situation covering that for Brock, obviously. All 26 cars took the green, but then Joannidis' number 77 came straight into the pits off the opening lap and was trying to fix some sort of drive shaft issue, mechanical problems with that car. They ended up getting him back out there. And then he came back into the pits again, got him back out there again. That cycle repeated a couple of times. But in the meantime, Will Rogers, who was running his first West Series race in, I think, 5 years, I think you have to go back to 2020, the last time he was in this series, seemed to be having a decent run, and then appeared to lose an engine or an oil line. That took him out of contention. So for a while, it looked like he might be the last place finisher if the 77 could finish enough laps. But Joe and Ida's team ended up parking their car at the halfway break. So he's your last place finisher, but unfortunate for Rogers, the only driver of the 88 that did not win this weekend, because you had Zilich in Xfinity and SVG on the Cup Series side of things. So Rogers certainly had the talent to make it 3 for 3, I think, if he had the equipment to be able to hang with Sawalich in the top three there. But unfortunate deal for him, that the equipment let him down there. But, if you want to further update on that whole situation or more details there, you can go check out the piece I wrote for Brock Beard at lastcar.info. Unfortunate for Dale Quarterly as well, was up in the top five, again, running very strong with that team. It only comes out a few times a year, but just lost it on his own between turns 4 and 7. To his credit, was able to get it refired and limp back to the pit lane, but there was enough damage to his suspension that was the end of his day. And then also want to say, very fortunate, very glad to see that Rod Nealand and Robbie Keneally were okay in their incident that brought out the red flag. Very hard hit for each of those drivers. Unfortunately, Nealand getting spun off the bumper of Eric Johnson Jr. If you're a regular viewer of this show, you might remember we interviewed him after Phoenix last year. I was able to track him down and catch up with him after the race to get his side of the story and also learn what happened at the start of his race. He also had some mechanical issues that set him kind of behind the 8 ball right from the start. So here's my conversation with Eric Johnson Jr. Friday afternoon after the ARCA West race.
I gotta go work on my luck a little bit, but we swapped the transmission, brand new one, but just struggled with it in practice. They decided to go to the back. That was all fixed for the rest of the race, which was great with the new one. But coming to the green, I've never had it happen, but we broke an axle before the green even dropped. So tried to survive the best we could. The guys did a great job fixing that as quick as they could, and I think we started the race like about 5 laps down in relation. So just in recovery mode, trying to make sure we get a good read. I'm really excited to go to the Portland with this car, so I want to make sure we still felt everything out and picked our battles wisely out there. So we just wrapped up top of the 68. Hate to see what happened with them there, but overall, felt like we got all we could today.
Yeah, well, that was what I was just going to follow up with. Obviously, there was the contact with the 68, very hard wreck out there, yeah. Unfortunate deal, but looks like you were able to clear the air with those guys, and is everything set over there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't put my cars together currently. Obviously, Jerry Pitts and their whole team does that, but I've been through the process enough before to know how much time and effort goes into it. And we caught him with a group of the lead pack cars. He let him go, and he went high on the front stretch. I was thinking, spotters telling me he's letting you by. I went to his inside and just kind of a misjudgment call. I've heard a lot of people say came down. At the end of the day, I don't like tearing cars up, especially when we're not racing for the lead. So I just wanted to make sure he was okay, and luckily he is. Feel terrible for Robbie and them, but that's racing. I don't know. You got to obviously stay on the wheel even if you're 5 laps out of it. You never know what's going to happen, but glad he's all right.
All right, yeah, very mature answer, I think, from Eric Johnson Jr., and just wanted to make sure that I got his side of the story as well, because you had people on social media saying, what was he doing 5 laps down, spinning somebody out that was competing for position, battling for position, but again, I think you heard it straight from him there. The last thing he wanted to do was tear anybody's equipment up there, and it was just unfortunate that it was kind of a racing incident that turned that way. And again, I do want to say as well, again, I only do this a couple of times a year, and so I still go back and forth with myself, what crosses the line, ethically speaking. When I got to their pit box, he was down in the 68's pit, talking with Rod Nealand himself, and Rod, I think, said the exact same thing. That's racing, and that happens sometimes. So the two of them seem to be on good terms, and I think if that's the case, then why should we feel any different about the incident?
Sure.
Again, I thought about getting my phone out to record the conversation, but at the same time, that's the journalist part of me. The human part of me is kind of like this seems like a one-on-one sort of deal between these two guys. I want to make sure they bury the hatchet, so to speak, and clear the air up, and then I can talk to Eric one-on-one myself about what happened. He can give his side of the story for everybody. So that's what we did. And again, unfortunate for him. I know he's really looking forward to coming out to Joe's home track in Portland, in about a month and a half here. So hopefully he can turn things around with him and his Jerry Pitts number 5 team and get a better result when they come out there, when that race happens in several weeks' time. So again, unfortunate for him. Also unfortunate for Kaylee Bryson, who was making her debut. She ended up persevering to finish 14th, the first car off of the lead lap, but that's not indicative of the pace that she might have been able to show this weekend. She had some electrical gremlins come back to bite her from qualifying. I talked to her in the pre-race bullpen in the media center, and she had said that there was some sort of sensor or electrical issue that was causing her some trouble, prevented her from putting down a faster lap than she wanted to, and it came back to bite her a few times during the race. The Flow Racing broadcast showed, I think, at least 3 instances of her car shutting off and her having to pull off and refire. But as she said to me post-race, and we'll play the clip for you here right now, it seemed like it was an even more prevalent issue than the broadcast was able to catch. Take a listen to her recap of her ARCA Menards Series West debut. I know you were mentioning in the media center, but you had a sensor issue of some sort during qualifying. Is that what came back to bite you during the race?
Yeah, I think it shut off like 12 times during the race, so that definitely stung a little bit. But we also got to make a lot of solid laps at the same time. And one of our quickest laps was like lap 58, and we would have been in the top 6 in running order with our time there. So we feel good about it, but I think once we fix all the wiring issues and that stuff's always fun. But once we get that in order, I think we'll be set.
Well, there's definitely the silver lining, like you mentioned, of getting to run all those laps. So what was the biggest thing that you learned today here in your ARCA debut?
Just driving the which hard. The better you drive these cars, the better they handle. So just getting used to that and used to all the traffic, and everybody drives pretty wild here, which is pretty fun at the same time. Just being aware of that's pretty big, and braking is huge. I realized that I could brake even later than I thought I could, and how much I could brake is pretty cool.
I know you said earlier, but this is a one-off for now. If you do come back, would you want to try another road course, or do you want to give an oval shot?
I'll probably do a little bit of both if I get the choice.
Awesome. All right. Well, congratulations again, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Yeah, interesting note there. The harder you drive the car, the better it handles. That's always pushing for the extra tenth there. That's just that's the way it goes. But it's interesting to hear that from someone making their debut. That's kind of figuring that out on the fly there at a crazy place like Sonoma. She was talking about how wild everyone was driving too.
Yeah, and of course, Kaylee, USAC Silver Crown race winner and Trans Am SGT class champion in 2024, competing in the XGT class this year. And I think she was talking on social media about how at Road America, comparing her lap times in the XGT car to Cup car and how fast her Trans Am car was. Certainly some similarities. You're in a full-bodied car, but a NASCAR ARCA stock car still a bit of a learning curve there for her to adapt to. So again, we'll see if she comes back or not. Much more on that on the next episode of Women in Motorsports, whenever that will be. Somebody in the replies when I tweeted that video out suggested maybe she was hinting at the Roval, saying a little bit of both. I don't know if she was talking about the same race and dropping that as a hint there, or if she would want to come back and make multiple starts here. But great to have her on the ARCA Menards Series West this weekend. And again, hopefully if she does come back, they can get those wiring issues figured out and give her more reliable entry she can actually compete with whenever her next start might be.